our book for tonight, right here. Check it out. We're gonna wait like a few minutes to hop on, and then we will go as usual. But yeah, how is everybody doing today? It wasn't a very for being a holiday weekend. It didn't feel very Monday today, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't a super Monday day, which is fine. I have so many things I need to get done. It's not even funny. I mean that's usual. Like it's just like back to 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 back thing, and so it's really. I'm definitely struggling with keeping up with my life at the moment, which sucks because there's just so many things going on. Yes, can I help you? Yes, you can turn off the oven. Are you really that afraid of AI stealing your likeness that you're not even going to talk loud enough for me to hear? Sorry, my new dad was coming. So I have to do I have my camper thing next week, and I was trying to come up with crafts to do, which has been great. Like usually I do really good with coming up with crafts. This year I have not. Really struggling to find crafts the kids want to do. So we'll see how it works out. I test ran one of the crafts today. It was absolutely terrible. It did not go well. So I am testing a new craft this time. I tested another craft. I did a different recipe for it and tried again tonight. Which Amanda Dad was just asking if we can turn off the oven. Hopefully it works. I don't think it's gonna, but hopefully it does. We'll see. I'm trying to make these like aromatherapy rocks. But yeah, like I said, I'm just not sure it's gonna work out. Hello, Nimbus Nostalgia. How is your day? Hi, Omni. We have like 5 more minutes, and then we will start the meh. Heisenberg. I'm tired. That's how I am. We are on chapter 13, by the way. Over halfway there. And then we can start Phantom Menace, which is okay. So yeah, I definitely have been really busy, which is why, like, I keep trying to get on live, but I fall asleep. I get so exhausted from all the stuff I'm trying to do that it's like, I'm like, I'm just gonna lay down for like a second and just chill, and then it's the next morning and my alarm's going on. So, yeah, it's been kind of a problem for me. Just recently because I'm just exhausted. I did finally start reading Dungeon Crawler Carl, by the way. Mando Dad gave me my Christmas present early. Yeah, I know, it's July. He got me a Kindle Paperwhite, which I've been asking for a while. He got me a Kindle Paperwhite during Prime Day. I know, capitalism, blah. But he got me a Kindle Paperwhite for early Christmas present, because he bought one for Mini Mando because it's her birthday, and I knew he bought one for me too. And I asked him, I was like, "Hey, can I get mine early?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess you're just not gonna get anything for Christmas," which I know is a lie. He's still gonna get me something for Christmas. Are you kidding me? And then if he doesn't, I'm gonna be mad. But anyway. So I got a Kindle Paperwhite now too, and in addition to all of my spicy books, I put Dungeon Crawler Carl on there to read it. I'm only on like chapter 4, so it's right after Princess Donut starts talking. New achievement, yeah. I saw one of those TikToks where it's like, oh no, you're transported to the last book you read. How screwed are you? And I'm like, well, it's Dungeon Crawler Carl. I think I am extremely screwed. It's just my guess. I would probably be extremely screwed if I got transported to Dungeon Crawler Carl. I guess my charisma skill would be really high. I guess I have really high charisma skill. I have like low dex, low strength. I don't know any of any other useful. I don't know of very many useful skills. To the other. Oh, that does not sound good either. So yeah, I finally got my Kindle Paperweight. It's been lovely. I like it a lot. Because I have some people like, what do you need a Kindle for? You have a phone, you have an iPad. Well, here's the thing. I get really distracted, shocker, when I try and read on my iPad or my phone. Particularly my phone, because like I have all the notifications going off and TikTok is really easy to access when I get, just when my brain zones out while I'm reading. Ooh, yeah, that would not be good. That'd not be a fun book to be transported into. So I just get really easily distracted, and I don't, especially when I'm trying to like wind down for bed at night. That's why I wanted the Paperwhite, so that I could just more easily like wind down and go to sleep. I think that might be why I'm like getting to bed a little bit easier now. Is like I'm turning off my phone. I'm not watching TikToks right before I fall asleep. I'm putting my phone down. I'm making an active choice. Like I'll go into bed and I'll start my doom scroll, and then I'll be like, nope, I'm not gonna doom scroll. I'm gonna read. And so like I make a very conscious effort to put my phone down and pick up the book. So, and plus like because it's it's a Kindle instead of a actual book, I don't disturb Mando Dad with a light. So I have not seen Gangs of New York. I know very little about it, Omni, sorry. Um so yeah, that's the way things are as it stands. But I love my Kindle. I was reading it on the beach this weekend. Like I said, I'm trying to make a conscious effort to read every night. I usually only get like a chapter in because then I start getting sleepies. I already am now. I get sleepy when I read. Always used to. Still do. Yeah. I don't know what book I'm gonna read next. I mean, I have, like I said, I have all my spicy books, which are, of course, awesome. But I definitely want to try and read like more books. I tried reading The Secret History of the World. I just really hate it. I spent so much money on that book. I feel like I have to read it, but I hate it. I have zero interest in reading it anymore. It's not good. It, so, bug bite. I hate living in this house some days. Anyway, shall we read? We are on chapter 13. I guess I haven't been setting up the gift goal, so there we go. Same rules apply as always. If we hit the live goal, then I will read 4 chapters. If we don't hit the live goal, I'll only read 2. Do we get a bonus chapter tonight? If there is so there are little blurbs in between the chapters of this book where we're getting a little bit more of information about the handmaidens. But there's not one tonight unless we get that far. So apparently the person who wrote, so apparently E.K. Johnston has some other books out. Maybe I'll look up them and see if I like those. So, anyway, chapter 13. Oh, I gotta fix this leg. Oh, too stiff. Oh, there we go. Chapter 13. Sabe did not return to the suite with the Queen when she left the throne room on the second day of the summit. There was no formal dinner that night, so no one needed to prepare for anything. Padme was looking forward to a quiet evening in her sitting room, discussing everyone's impressions of the day's talks. Sabe's absence didn't prevent her from dressing in more comfortable handmaiden-style robes and settling in with her tea. But Padme found quickly that she missed her company. The others tried to distract her. It was almost half an hour before Sabe let herself in. She was a bit breathless, like she'd walked quickly to come back to the room. Or maybe for another reason, but that was none of Padme's business. Did you get lost in the corridors? Rabe asked sweetly. Shut up, Sabe said. She looked to Padme for support, but Padme refused to meet her gaze. It's very good of you to pay so much attention to relations, Erte said. Yane blushed, and Sache looked uncomfortable. She'd been fighting a stomachache all day and wasn't in the mood for high spirits. You want to be nice to me, Sabe said. I have an opportunity for us. That got everyone's attention. Neurotransmitter affection are playing in the Theed Odeon tonight, Sabe said. One of Harley's cousins sings backup with them, so she can get us in. Erte made an unintelligible noise of excitement, and Yane clapped a hand over her mouth. Harley Jafan invited us to a concert? Padme asked. Well, sort of, Sabe said. She invited me. Unofficially. But she said that the rest of us could come too. I imagine she meant the handmaidens, not the Queen, but there's no reason why a palace page can't tag along. Out of the question, Padme said. There's no way we'd even make it out the door, much less out of the palace. Don't be so quick to say that, Rabe said. We haven't even started scheming yet. I'm sure we can come up with something. What if there's an emergency? Padme said. Then we'll deal with it, Sabe told her. Unless you don't want to go. It would be much easier to plan without you. Ouch! You mean? That lit a fire under Padme's heart. I'm definitely coming with you if you go, she said. I'll stay here if that makes a difference, Sache said. I don't feel very well anyway, and I've never been a fan of loud noises in crowds. We'll bring you a souvenir, Sabe promised firmly. Now, suggestions? Padme listened to them plot, feeling strangely disconnected. Yes, neurotransmitter affection were shatteringly popular, but there was no reason to be so reckless as to go see them. Unless Sabe really did like Harley. If so, Sabe would have to keep secrets from both, and surely that wouldn't be any fun. Unless she ended up liking Harley more. Padme refused to go down that road. There was no reason to be jealous or doubt Sabe's loyalty. They were just going to a concert like normal girls. One night. They could make that work. Rabe shot down 4 suggestions before they hit on something they thought was feasible. Sabe, Yane, and Erte would go to the concert hall with Harley, leaving in full view of the guards from the front of the palace. They wouldn't wear handmaiden robes, but they would be dressed as nondescriptly as possible. Meanwhile, Rabe and Padme would go to the Queen's library, ostensibly to do research on Amidala's request. The guards wouldn't bother them, and Rabe would belay Padme down the wall before climbing down herself. How will we get back in? Padme asked. There was no point in a one-way trip. I'll climb the wall and pull you up, Rabe said. It's 5 stories, Yane protested. Do you have a better idea? Rabe said. Yane went over to one of the drawers on the side of the room and rummaged through it for a few minutes. Captain Panaka was annoyed that you wouldn't let any station guards in here, so he took steps, she said. She held up a grappling cable triumphantly. See? Much easier for climbing. Ah, that's how they got the grappling hooks in the Phantom Menace. He's going to kill us, Padme predicted, but I'm not going to let that stop me. They got dressed. It was fun to do more than one hairstyle, and Padme was glad to not have the usual tight braids under her wig. Erte took the time to curl her hair since she only rarely got to show it off. Rabe, and Padme stood on robes over their outfits, Rabe concealing the grappling cable under her skirt. They each took a few credits from Padme's petty cash in case of emergency, and folded them into various pockets. In Sabe's case, her boots. Before they left, they made sure Sache was as comfortable as possible. She was curled up alone in Padme's bed, feeling desolate and also too wretched to move. Oh, she's sick. If your stomach still hurts in the morning, we'll call a Medidroid, Yana said, brushing her hair off her face. Sache didn't flinch away from her, which was new. It can't be food poisoning, you're not throwing up, and we all ate the same things. You should get going, Sache said. I know neurotransmitter affection always have an amazing opening light show. The three obvious concert attendees headed out. Padme could hear them laughing with the guards in the hallway. This was the first time since their arrival at the palace that the handmaidens had worn non-matching outfits, and it might be the first time anyone was able to immediately tell them apart. Robbie made them all wait 15 minutes, and then she and Sache headed for the library. How come they get to go to a concert and you two get stuck here reading up on ore processing? One of the guards asked when Robbie explained where they were headed. Oh, we stayed home on purpose, Robbie said. Neither of us really cares for crowds. A quiet night reading is much more of our style. The guard shook her head, but let them pass for no further questioning. Padme kept her head down and hoped no one noticed that she was a solid 5 centimeters taller than Sache was. Once they were in the library, Rabe stripped off her handmaiden robes and folded them roughly. Padme followed a bit more slowly, also placing her robes on a chair in the corner of the room. Rabe opened the window and fired the cable onto the lintel. That will hold us both. You'll have to step on the ledge and put your arms around me. Then I'll lower us down. I thought you made and sold forgeries, Padme said. How do you know how to do all this? Well, you can't forge something if you haven't seen it, Rabe said. Padme hadn't thought of it that way. She stepped up onto the ledge beside the ex-art thief and put her arms around her waist. Step with me on 3, Rabe said. 1, 2, 3! Padme leaned into her and took the first step into thin air. For a second, she was falling. Then the cable caught them. Rabe lowered them to the ground and pushed the retraction button. The cable detached and disappeared, and then Rabe stashed the grapple under a convenient shrub. She led the way through the gardens, whispering directions about how to make sure they stayed in the security system's blind spots. A quick scramble got her to the top of the garden wall, and she hauled Padme up behind her. Aw, you're sneaking out. It's kind of cute. Also, as a mother, I'm horrendous. This is the hard part, Rabe admitted. When you fall into the dry moat, make sure you bend your knees on the landing. And for the love of Jogan fruit, don't bite your tongue. Rabe slid to the edge of the wall and let herself down. Even hanging from her fingertips, she was a considerable distance from the ground. She rolled on the landing and came up quickly, brushing loose grass from her hands. Padme did her best to duplicate the move, without the roll, and managed to knock the wind out of her chest when she landed. She sat gasping for a few moments, and then Rabe pulled her to her feet. Please teach me how to do that your way, she said, when she had enough breath to speak. I'll put it on the list, Rabe said, grinning. You did pretty well, though. Thanks, said Padme. The 2 girls hurried off. They were supposed to meet the others at the VIP entrance at the Odeon, and they didn't want to keep them waiting. It wasn't a long distance to cover, and there was a crowd to blend in with as soon as they reached the main thoroughfare. Padme smiled in spite of her aching chest. She hadn't been around this many people in so long, and she had missed it. Sabi waved them down in the entrance and introduced Padme to Harley as a page that Rabe had stayed behind to escort. The more the merrier, Harley said. Come on, let's go see what seats my cousin got for us. The seats were very close, and they weren't so much seats as they were places in the VIP dance area. This was entirely more than Yane had bargained for, and she was quite happy to stand at the edge of the dance floor and watch the stage. Erte was deeply interested in the lighting design and had no wish to dance either. Rabe claimed to have 2 left feet, which Padme highly doubted was true, but didn't care enough to argue. Harley pulled Sabe out to dance as soon as the opening lights show was over. The performance stepped into anti-grav columns as the music changed and began to dance to the unironically titled Get Down, while the audience did its best to emulate them on the floor. Sabe and Harley moved well together, and Padme almost forgot to watch the band. She didn't like this feeling. She didn't think it was jealousy, not entirely anyway. Before Harley had come, Padme had known where she and Sabe stood. Sabe was the first of her handmaidens, the one who was the best at doubling for her, and who would take the risk if there was any danger. And right now, Padme didn't know how Sabe felt about any of those things anymore. Aw. She should just ask. If they were normal girls, she would just ask. It was like those first few weeks when none of them had complained and just got more and more annoyed with each other. But they weren't normal, and Padme could ask as Sabe's friend. She wasn't sure if she should ask as Sabe's queen. No, she would have to wait a bit for Sabe to come to her, and she didn't like that one bit. So she's not a very patient person. The song changed, the tempo altering slightly, but not lessening very much. The solid sonic energy beams reinforced the beat. The lights all changed color, and the crowd cheered as the stage was framed in streams of bright Naboo plasma. Sabe came over and grabbed Padme by the hand, pulling her into the dancers. They moved together, and for a moment, everything was the way it was supposed to be. Then Harley appeared at her elbow with a bunch of iridescent bulbs in her hand. They're glitterlets, she said, yelling to make herself heard over the crowd. Each section of the audience has a different frequency activation. I got some for all of us. Harley shook the lids to mix the chemicals together. She snapped one and handed it to Sabe. The main lights went out, and Odeon thrummed with sound and color. But when Harley snapped the second one for Padme, it broke and covered Padme with glittering liquid that glowed in the dark. I'm so sorry, Harley yelled. But now at least you don't have to worry about holding on to anything. Padme tried to brush the liquid off her face and only succeeded in making a mess of her hands. Yane appeared with a scarf and a bottle of water, but even that wasn't enough to get rid of the stains entirely. We'll have to deal with it at home, Yane said directly into her ear. Do you want to leave? No, Padme said. We're all in this together, and I'm not going to ruin the night for everyone. Yane looked concerned, so Padme smiled brightly, and they both turned back to the show. Every time Padme caught sight of Sabe for the rest of the night, she was laughing. Sorry, I had a bot on the other stream. So what do we think? Are we liking it so far? I like this chapter. Them sneaking out is kind of adorable, actually. It's so easy to get wrapped up in that she's queen in this book, but like also still remembering that she is a 14. She's 14 in this book. Padme is 14, which is it makes it weird. It just makes it totally weird because like you think about the rest of the series of Star Wars and like how Padme, like how this whole thing progresses over. I mean, it's what over a course of like 10 years, 15. How long was the Clone Wars? It's 10 years between Phantom Menace and Clone War, Attack of the Clones. How long were the Clone Wars? 5 years? 3 years? I should know this and I don't. So that there's another like 15. So like she's 29, almost 30 at the end of 27. She's 27. Okay. So that means the Clone Wars were 13 years long. Roughly. Or not 13. 3. Clone Wars were 3 years long. So it's kind of weird. Like you know, we see like this whole arc of Padme, and it's kind of easy to forget that she was so young in the Phantom Menace. I mean, so was Anakin, but like I guess Anakin is shown as like obviously a clear child, but they're not that far apart in age. So it's so odd to see, or even to think about. All right, let's keep going. Chapter 14. Panaka managed to have dinner with his wife for the first time in days. They squeezed it in right before she had to go on shift, and he wasn't able to do anything special on short notice. But at least they got to see each other. He told her as much as he could about the talks. The public transcript wouldn't be available for a few more days, but even working nights, Miriek was bound to hear something via the palace gossip chain. And Panaka would rather she hear it from him. They were just about to dig into the dented bean buns that Kitchen had baked for the first day of the summit when Panaka's comm chimed with an alert he'd only ever heard once before. Uh-oh. After the Queen had refused to allow guards into her personal rooms, Panaka had taken some security measures he hadn't told her about. There was a weapons cache in the window seat, for example, which included a variety of things that would help the Queen's escape or fight back if the occasion called for it. There were several sensors that could detect a perimeter breach, and several more for various types of weapons discharge. There was also a sensor that the Queen did know about, because one time Erte had set it off when she was sewing, and had pricked her finger with a needle. It was the alarm that was sounding now, the one that detected blood. Uh-oh. Miriek was on her feet before her husband was. She was already dressed for work, except for her jacket. She didn't stop for that as they headed to the door, and Panaka didn't even stop for his shoes. Oh, I bet I know what's wrong with Sache. She grabbed his shoulder as soon as they were in the barracks courtyard. Do not run, she whispered. I know, he muttered through gritted teeth. It was not as if anyone who saw him dressed like this would fail to be alarmed, but they had guests. and running through the palace corridors would attract too much attention. Padme had the girls with her. He could be a professional. They walked as quickly as they could. The hallway outside the Queen's suite was quiet. The 4 guards on duty were standing at their posts, and they jumped to attention when Tanaka appeared. And when they saw his dishabille? Dishabille? Do not know that word. This is a YA book, and it's got a word that I don't know, and I am an adult. T-I-S-A-A-H-A-B-I-L-L-E. Disheveled. The state of being partly or scantily clothed. Oh. Okay. Dishabille. They went on alert. Tanaka didn't stop to talk to them. He opened the door to the suite. The rooms were empty and dark. Only a low light was on near the hearth. It was oddly calming, and Tanaka did not wish to be calm. He had one priority, and that was Amidala. He crashed into her bedroom, and the girl in the bed sat up and screamed. Oh! I know. Mariek followed Tanaka into the Queen's bedroom. They both froze in their tracks at the scream, and Mariek turned to bring up the lights. In the center of the bed was Sache. She was pale and gasping for breath. They had scared her. Oh, poor Sache. Where is she? Tanaka roared. Sache flinched back. She blinked, trying to wake up as quickly as she could. Mariek put a hand on his shoulder. Let me do this one, love, she said. Go and tell the guards in the hallway that there was no emergency. Yeah, having a blood sensor in a girl's room? Probably not the best idea. If it just, like, if you prick your finger and it sends off a whole bunch of alarm bells, that's not gonna go well for a room of girls. Not gonna work. Tanaka obviously thought there was an emergency, given the Queen was clearly not in her room, but he went anyway. Mariek sat down on the edge of the bed. He's upset because the alarm called him away from a fresh dented bean bun, she said. Sache laughed at the idea that Captain Tanaka ever chose dessert over duty. It was the blood alarm, and I don't think it was a sewing accident this time. Sache looked puzzled for a moment, then connected the line between her cramps and the alarm. She looked under the covers, and her face turned bright red. We keep the absorption pads in the bathroom, she said quietly, hoping the bed would swallow her whole. The instructions are on the package. I can figure it out. I'll take care of the laundry, Mariek said. Tanaka was waiting for her in the hallway. He looked at the sheet she was carrying and considerably perplexed. Men. Where do they keep their clothing? She asked, as though everything was fine. What is going on? Where is the Queen? He demanded. Haven't gotten that far yet, Mariek said. You scared that poor girl half to death, and then mortification nearly took her the rest of the way. Just give us a few minutes. Tanaka watched while Mariek deposited the laundry and retrieved a clean set of bedding. She shuffled through the wardrobe registry until she found Sache's things and called up fresh sleeping clothes for her. Then she carried them back into the Queen's bedroom. Tanaka was on his last nerve. I'm assuming she's not injured, at least? He asked. She's fine. Mariek said. Mariek said, and you're an idiot for putting a blood-sensitive sensor in the bedroom of a teenage girl. Isn't that what I just said? Oops. Tanaka made several connections simultaneously and had the decency to look guilty about it. It's never gone off before, he muttered. The older girls probably take suppressants, Mariek said. You know, like literally every guard who cycles. We're busy people, Quarsh. I apologize for scaring her, he said, as soon as she tells me where the Queen is. Sache came out a few minutes later. She was wrapped in a housecoat and looked incredibly embarrassed. Poor girl. She stared at Tanaka's boots. There's a concert at the Odeon, she said, unprompted. That's where they went. How did they get out? Tanaka demanded. Sabe, Yane, and Erte left with Harley earlier, Sache paused. She didn't want to give up a secret, but there wasn't any way around it. Rabe and Padme left from the library. The library, Tanaka said, extremely calm, is on the 5th level of the palace. Yanni found the grappling cable weeks ago, Sache said, gesturing to the window seat. They used that. Merrick made a noise suspiciously like a snort, and Panaka put his face in his hands. This is what we're going to do, he said after taking a moment to think about it. We're not going to cause a scene. We're going to call the queen and tell her to come home. She's going to come back the way she left, so we don't make a spectacle of it. Okay, Sache said quietly. How is she disguised? Merrick asked as the thought occurred. If they're with Harley Jaffan, she must have taken some precautions. They went as themselves, Sache said. No one knows who they are. Tonight they're just girls. Call her. Right now, Panaka said. Sache fished the device out of her pocket and held it on her palm. At least the night couldn't get much worse. Padme had her comlink in her pocket. She'd set the vibration as high as possible. There's no way she'd hear it over the noise of the concert, but she might be able to feel it. She wasn't really expecting anyone to contact her, but when the comlink shook against her leg, she knew there was only one person it could be. She activated the device, and a miniature Sache appeared on her palm. Padme couldn't hear over the noise of the concert, but Sache spoke clearly enough for Padme to read her lips. Come home, she said. We're blown. Well, this was going to be fun. Padme got Rabe's attention. Rabe understood the situation immediately and went to corral the others. Sabe was still on the dance floor with Harley, so they didn't interrupt her. Padme and I will go back, Rabe said when Padme had caught up with them on the situation. You two wait for Sabe to come back with her. The trip back to the palace wasn't nearly as exciting as the escape had been. Panaka was giving them a chance to preserve their dignity and the queen's cover, and Rabe didn't waste it. She retrieved the grappling cable and got them through the window with no issue. They put their handmaidens' robes back on, and they went to face the music. It's like Dad catching you from sneaking out. Except she's the queen, so can't she just order him to, leave her alone? The guards in the hallway were carefully neutral. None of them was exactly sure what was going on, and Padme appreciated their discretion in not trying to find out now. Rabe opened the door to the suite, and they went in. We're in the sitting room, Sache called. Padme took a moment to pull herself together. Do not let him run over you, Rabe said under her breath. I won't let him run over us, Padme replied. When they went into the sitting room, she was dressed as a handmaiden, but she was Queen Amidala to her fingertips. Rabe followed a few steps behind as though they were a normal walk in the palace. Instead of sitting down, she took a place behind Padme. I don't even know where to start, Panaka said. He had gone through the heat of his anger and settled into a cold rage. He was doing everything he could to keep her safe, and she had all but thrown it in his face. We were given the opportunity to strengthen ties with the Jafani delegation, Padme said. I considered it an appropriate risk. Political decision, not because she was a teenage girl who wanted to go to a concert. I can just imagine my daughter trying to make that. Mom, I was trying to learn something. No, you went to a concert, ma'am. Don't give me that, Your Highness. Panaka clung to his manners to keep from yelling at her. You could have done that in the palace. You could have invited any entertainment you wanted, and instead you slipped your guards, climbed 5 stories down, somehow got over the garden wall, and went out with no security at all. Captain Panaka, you know that's not true, Padme said. You've trained my bodyguards yourself. She used the word quite deliberately. It's not the same thing, Panaka said. Yes, it is, Padme said. For the first time, she unleashed the full brunt of her emotions on him. Anger and frustration, and determination so solid it would break rocks. That was the whole point. They gave up their families and their names and their reputations, and they did it willingly because they believe in your idea of what we could be. You trained us and gave us the ability to defend ourselves. We have worked to become a fluid, adaptable group, and we are powerful, Captain, even if that's not the kind of power you are accustomed to. Panaka sat back in surprise, and there was dead quiet for several moments. You are going to do things I don't like, Captain, Padme said, and I am going to do things you don't like. But at the end of the day, one of us was elected Queen of Naboo. Pop off, Queen! Literally. And I will do my job the way I see fit. I will listen to your advice the same way I listen to everyone, but sometimes I will act against what you've said, and will have to do your job and protect me anyway. How can I protect you if I don't know where you are? He asked. You gave me 5 protectors, Padme said. You'll have to trust them too. Panaka looked over her shoulder at Rabe, the girl who he thought he could control. Her flat stare told him everything he needed to know. This was not a fight he would win. I understand, Your Highness, Milka said. Next time you want to go off on an adventure, tell me first. I'll do everything I can to make it happen. I appreciate your dedication, Captain. She let him hear the affection, now in the respect, since he had gotten the negative emotions earlier. I'm late for my shift, Mariek said, Late for my shift, Mariek said, admirably diffusing the tension. And Sache probably wants to go back to bed? She pulled her husband to his feet, and they took their leave. Rabe sat down and put her feet up on the little table. I ruined a bed sheet, said Sache as though it made perfect sense. And you are covered in glitter. It was probably the adrenaline wearing off, but Padme laughed until she cried. That was good! That was really funny, though. Them sneaking out and then accidentally getting caught. But I agree with Mariek. Putting a blood sensor in a teenage girl's room. Very stupid idea. You couldn't even, set it... You couldn't even, set it so, an amount, I guess? I don't know. But that's funny. That's really, really funny. Oh, thank you for the follow, Kante. Seriously, this book is so good! I love it! It's way too easy to read because it's a YA book, but it is so much fun. It's so great. I love it. I want to read more, but, not tonight. I'm probably gonna put on my pajamas and go to bed. Ah! Yeah. Not fun like the mall book, because the mall book was also very fun, but also very violent. This is, much more wholesome. The mall book was great. It was a very fun book, but for completely different reasons, right? The mall book was just, good and violent. Same thing goes for Death Troopers. Good and violent, but Padme book is more wholesome. It's like a comforting story. Actually, now that I think about it, I would love to have them animate this. This would be a really, really fun, do the trilogy. Make little, mini cartoons, kind of like how they did for, not the mall show or anything, because I don't think it would do well, as an episode thing. But, if you animate it with the Clone Wars style and got, the Padme voice actor to do it, that would be so awesome! Alright, I'm making a video about this, and I'm gonna tag Disney, and you guys are gonna have to do your thing and get it shared. Tag Disney a bunch of times. Because, seriously, this would be an amazing... I would love that. That would be so awesome. I would watch the crap out of that. Plus, it would give me more costumes. I'd be watching that show just being like, and I want that costume, and I want that costume, and I want that costume. But yeah, seriously. I want a Padme show. Better yet. Okay, so I know that they made that, girl power show a while back that didn't do very well. But, okay. Hear me out. It could do a couple seasons, right? We could do a show that's about the Star Wars girlies when they're not because let's be honest, Clone Wars and Mando, very boy heavy. Not if there's anything wrong with that. They're awesome in their own right. But hear me out. The first season is the Padme trilogy books. Okay, do 3 long, hour and a half long episodes. Okay, do Queen's Peril, all that. All right. And then the second season, we get Duchess Satine and Obi-Wan and that whole love story, right? We get a Satine show. Right? And then the third season, third season we go with like Leia and her rise through the Imperial Senate ranks. Okay? And like all the politics that went along with that. And then the fourth season can be like Hera's time between when we leave Rebels and the New Republic and the Ahsoka show. Like we can get all that information about Hera. And then let's get like a whole show about Bo-Katan and Casca Reeves and like all the stuff that they're doing before we meet them in Mando season 2. And then I would say have a Cara Dune show, but we're not going to go through that. That would be really cool if they could just replace the Cara Dune actress, right? I would like a Cara Dune show, but I don't think that's going to happen because too problematic with that actress. Yeah. Yes, I want that. Well, I thought they're going to make another season of the Obi-Wan show. Like, they're supposed to make another season of Obi-Wan. I know it won't happen, but that would be a really cool show. Like, you could make a total, like, girl power, the Girls of Star Wars show. You could even, like, or you could just make it, like, the Padme show. Because you could go through, like, there's comics and stuff like that about what happens to the handmaidens after Padme dies. Because the handmaidens follow her. Like, I'm pretty sure Sabe is there until the very end. So like you could follow Sabe, like even after the death, after Padme dies, because like Sabe had a continuing story, I believe, in the comics, about after Padme had passed. Which I wonder, did Sabe know? Because I believe, like I said, I believe Sabe was still with Padme until the very end, if I'm not mistaken. But like, I wonder, did Sabe know that Leia and Luke survived? Like, I feel like if she didn't, I hope that she knew later, like after the fall of the Empire. Like, I hope that Sabe was still around, and I really hope that Sabe knew that Luke and Leia survived. Because it seems like, I mean, just reading this, like Sabe, she was away trying to free slaves. No. But like later, like at the fall of the Republic, when, like, I don't think she did. Well, that would be something, I wish she did. Someone needs to write that, because that's really sad. Because, I mean, you think about Padme, I mean, just from reading these books, like, Padme was, like, sisters with her handmaidens. And she had a sister. But, like, she was so close with her handmaidens because they were the only ones that could really be with her all the time. And so, like, I feel like that's probably super devastating. She discovered it was Anakin. Yeah, I know that part. But that's what I'm saying is, like, did Sabe never find out that the twins survived, or that Padme had any survive, like that Padme's children survived? I feel like I need that. Like, I need, after the fall of the Empire, assuming Sabe survived the fall of the Empire, which I don't think she did actually. I think she died before the events of A New Hope. But if she survived the fall of the Republic, like I would love to hear that she eventually discovered that Luke and Leia were Padme's children. I don't know. But I understand Omni doing like the Boba Fett YA show. No, because Sabe went and like she was fighting. I mean, the comics, Sabe survived well past the events of Revenge of the Sith. She survived at least the events of Order 66 and everything like that. So not that she would have been targeted for Order 66, she wasn't a Jedi. but she did stuff after that in the comics. So, but yeah, I want a Star Wars. Some of that story's covered in the other two. Okay, well, we'll get there then. But seriously, I want a Star Wars girl power show that, like, covers the things that I want, basically a fan lip service, but in the comics there's a space bunny and a BDSM smuggler. Ah! What does a BDSM smuggler smuggle? Exactly. Or is it just the smuggler that's into BDSM? I have questions. Don't answer them on live. It's not that kind of live, but I have questions. What do they Okay. They just smuggle that kind of equipment? So, like, Mr. Pierre, but a smuggler? Watch it. Mr. Pierre will now show up, because I said his name. Maybe if I say it 3 times in a row, he will appear like Beetlejuice. But yeah. I would very, very much like the girl power. I would like the girl power story in Star Wars, but like we want to know what happens. But seriously, this would make a great show. I mean, you could market do it like a teenage girl, like sort of like an Owl House kind of marketing. Gear it towards teenage girls. I realize I'm not a teenage girl, but like I would gear it towards teenage girls. So she was a Twi'lek. I would gear it towards the teenage girl market, or the tweens. I would probably gear it towards the tweens, the 13, like 11 to 13. Yeah, I feel like that would actually do really well. And even if the teenage girls weren't into it, like all of us out here, all of the women of Star Wars girlies would be out here, like the others, like the adult Star Wars girlies would be out here. A Song of Ice and Fire. I don't think I can read those on live. I had a Patreon to do that, but I didn't really have any subscribers for the Patreon. Because if I have Patreon subscribers for those kinds of books, I will happily read them on live, but because is A Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones? No. No, A Song of Ice and Fire is the ACOTAR. Oh, it is Game of Thrones. Oh. I still can't read that on TikTok Live. I've seen the show, and the show is like less than the book. Still can't read that on TikTok Live. I would get banned like that. Reading the Red Wedding, I'm banned. I could not read that. I could read that on Patreon. I could not read that. Or Schmatreon, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna get me. I could read that on Schmatreon, but I can't read that on TikTok. No. I only read Star Wars books on the TikTokeries. Right now, we are reading Queen's Peril. And the book after that will be The Phantom Menace. And then I'm probably going to read Scoundrels, because Omni got me the Scoundrels book. So we're going to read Scoundrels after The Phantom Menace. But yeah, this would make an amazing, like, teenage, tweenage. Put it like the hole that the Owl House is left. Like, stick it in there for like the Owl House kitties. Get the Padme voice actress from Clone Wars. See if Ashley Eckstein will like pop in for like Mariek or something. Not to be like, don't do her Ahsoka voice. Like, make up a new voice, but like, yeah, $1 million idea right here, Disney. I'm just saying. I will give it to you for free so long as you let me go to Star Wars Celebration. And let me have like just an hour alone with Hayden Christensen. I wouldn't even know what to talk about. I'd just sit there the whole time blushing and giggling like a teenage girl. Or Boba Fett. Or Pedro Pascal. In fact, put me in a room with all 3 of them. And then film it. It would be very entertaining. gonna be into Star Wars Celebration for the next dozen years? No, I'm not that greedy. Oh, and let me have Mark Hamill. Let me just meet Mark Hamill and have him. The weird thing is still, like, if I ever met Mark Hamill at a con, as huge of a Star Wars fan as I am, I would ask him to do the Joker laugh for me before I would ask him to say any Star Wars lines. It would be 100% about the Joker laugh. Because he's the best Joker. He is. And then followed very quickly by Heath Ledger. Two best Jokers. Jack Nicholson is actually my least favorite Joker. So it's Mark Hamill, Heath Ledger, Cesar Romero, and then Jack Nicholson for Jokers. And you know, I didn't really mind Jared Leto's Joker. I know. Hey, Abby. Okay, so you changed your TikTok name to something that it's all symbols. Because I tried to send you a TikTok the other day, and I went to search for you, and I thought you blocked me, and I had my feelings hurt. Because I couldn't find you. Yeah, I was hurt. I thought you had blocked me. I thought I did something wrong. Okay. So yeah, anyway, I think we have $1 million idea. I'm gonna make a video about this tomorrow. I'm gonna make a video about this. About my $1 million animated Star Wars show idea that I think would just I'm telling you, it would really take off. Especially if they like announce like the first 3 seasons. You're writing AO3 fanfic with this 400 kudos. Nice. That like announce the first 3 seasons. We're gonna do a Padme season, then we're gonna do a Satine season, and then what did I say? Leia? We're gonna do a Leia season. Doom, doom, doom. And I will be extremely mad if they don't end the Satine season with that she's pregnant with Corky. Because, well, no, I guess you couldn't gear. I guess if they did that, they couldn't gear the show towards the teenagers. Okay, they could make it like they could be very hintful. They could say something like that would go over all the teenagers' heads, but like we'd be like, if you know, you know. There we go. Problem solved. Okay, got it. Yeah, you got this. Telling you, $1 million idea right here. The merch you could sell. Ooh. Honestly, I just want it for new costumes. I just want new costumes. New Padme costumes. New Padme costumes. Yep. So, there we go. Problem solved. I have a new $1 million Star Wars show idea. Oh, I've had several. There's still like that lower decks on the Death Star kind of a situation. Like that would still be funny as heck. With Dolores and me and the like Matt the radar technician. I know that he's like sequel era, but like do a similar version of Matt the radar technician for the show. It would be so hysterically funny. Disney probably doesn't do it though because it would be like a complete ripoff of Lower Decks. But yeah, we've seen so much of the Ahsoka thing. Can we get like Dave? Can we get Dave to do it? But the problem is like if we got Dave on board, he'd want to shove Ahsoka in where Ahsoka does not belong, right? Something for us to do. Yeah, because I have so much free time. I have I have lines I'm supposed to be recording for my podcast, and I have not done that yet. It's because I can't make a transatlantic accent sound correct. I just can't do it. I try, and it doesn't sound right, and then it slides into a southern accent, and it just doesn't work. And I'm thinking that I'm just gonna have to be. I'm gonna have to give up on the transatlantic accent, and I'm just gonna have to give myself a southern accent, and it's just gonna have to go that way because, like, I have no idea. I tried, and it just doesn't sound right. And I tried listening to a bunch of, like, transatlantic accent, like, old movies. Didn't help at all. So, it's just gonna have to be a southern accent. I can't even do a Midwestern accent. Like, I can make it Midwestern, but that doesn't sound. An archivist? Like, I don't think an archivist would have, like, don't you think it'd be a good idea? Like, I just don't. I just can't imagine, like, an archivist of a big, giant, centuries old library sounding like she's gonna bring you a casserole. I mean, maybe. Maybe that's the hook. Some Midwestern archivist who she archives books and then makes casseroles in her spare time. I don't know if that'll work. Would that work? Don't you know? I'd have to go hang out with my husband's family from Wisconsin for a while. Of course, the Wisconsin accent is a little different from the Minnesotan accent. I think. Me and your Minnesota accent. Use a sore throat. No, I can't do that. I'd hurt my voice. I mean, I can change my pitch. Make my voice like considerably higher or considerably lower. But I don't know. Yeah, the Wisconsin accent and the Minnesota accent are different. And the Michigan accent, of the three, Michigan seems to me, to my untrained ear, has the lightest of all accents. Maybe I can give her a Bostonian accent. Ooh, a northern, the New Englander accent. I wonder if I could do that. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I could do German. I can do it like a German accent. Well, Wisconsin is heavily influenced by the Polish. The Minnesotan accent is, I would assume, heavily influenced by the Scandinavians. What? Yeah. I mean, like I said, Minnesota I know is like mostly Scandinavian settled. And I didn't know about the Irish. I could try a New York accent, but I'm not very strong on that one. And my German accent needs work. Maybe I'll give the archivist a German accent. That would take a lot of work though. But I can do sort of a German accent if I try really hard, better than I can do a transatlantic. I can also try Welsh. That one I considered Welsh. I can't do Scottish and I can't do Irish. Wisconsin, yeah. Well, Wisconsin is a lot of German and Polish. Eastern European. They're like generically Eastern European. I don't know about Michigan or Illinois. I know Detroit has a very like specific accent from my friends from Detroit. Like they have a very distinct accent. I couldn't tell you like what exactly it is, but it's different. It's like my friends who are from New York, the state, versus my friends that are from New York, the city. My friends from New York, the city, vastly different than my friends who are from New York, the state. Same thing goes for my New England friends. My New England friends that are from Connecticut sound way different than my friends who are from Boston. The Boston accent's much different. And it switches into Southern. Everything goes to Southern these days. I did so much practice for my D&D character to do a Southern accent that now I can't do anything else. Can't break it. So, anyway, I'm going to end stream here. I'm going to go downstairs and go to bed and read Dungeon Crawler Carl. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Maybe. I don't know. Just check around 10 p.m. if I'm on. I have so many things I have to get done before our missions trip next week, so I don't know what my schedule looks like yet. Anyway, have a good night, y'all. I'll go read some Dungeon Crawler Carl. And same thing goes for my YouTube and Twitch followers that aren't really here tonight. Hope you guys have a good night.